I know we're going to got a lot of questions. We're going to get to them, but I've got to get into this incredible town hall the other night that CNN put on. I think they wish they hadn't. It was billed as a town hall. It should have been called a clown hall because the biggest clown in America, Caitlin Collins, was given the task of being the ringleader of the circus. Donald Trump, my gosh, he was in absolute rare form. He was calm. He was thorough. He was funny. He had the audience eating out of his hand. Poor Caitlin Collins was so overmatched. I said the other night on Newsmax, I was being interviewed, and I said, this was like a teenage girl going with her father to the mall, and she keeps trying to talk him into buying her, you know, a Louis Vuitton purse and convincing her that he ought to buy her a car. And she just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and never shuts up, trying to interrupt her father. And he just swats her back every time. It was masterful.
Charles F. from our Super Chat actually earlier, and this ties right in. Do you believe that Trump's town hall on CNN enhanced his chances for nomination and re-election in 24?
Absolutely, I do. Absolutely. I think it almost secured the nomination and may have secured the election. And the reason why is because all we've heard about Donald Trump since he left office was that he's crazy, he's irrational, that he fanned the flames of January 6th. It was all his fault, and on and on and on. And that, you know, he had documents that he weren't supposed to have. And, you know, you've heard nothing but that kind of stuff. What you saw the other night was a guy who could defend himself on every single charge that's been made. Agree with him or not, he had a defense. And he pushed back, and he pushed back hard. And you saw a guy that when he was asked baited questions about who do you support, Ukraine or Russia, he turned it totally around and said, I want people to quit dying from Russia and Ukraine. And when he was asked, is Putin a war criminal? The easy thing to say, yeah, he sure is. He said, if I say that, it only makes that war worse. Now, see, that's insight. Right. And I just think he showed that all this stuff about how out of touch he is, he blew that out of the water. I thought he was on his game.
We've got Ben Adler writing a question here, Gov, that's a little personal, a little political. I need a good bass player, he says. I can pay $100 a gig. He said, just kidding. Yeah. But he's glad Sarah is our governor now, praise God. Now let's fix the country. So he's asking, RFK Jr. or Trump?
Well, I'll go with Trump. And some of it is because of issues that matter to me, on issues like the sanctity of life. That's precious to me. It's non-negotiable. I don't know that Robert F. Kennedy is pro-life. I do know Donald Trump is the most pro-life president we've ever had, more so than even Ronald Reagan. I don't know where RFK Jr. stands on Israel. That's an important moral and spiritual issue for me. Quite frankly, I like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm very intrigued by his courage and guts. And if the choice were between RFK Jr. and Joe Biden, I'd take RFK every day of the week and twice on Sunday. You know, ultimately, I'm a conservative. I want there to be a more conservative approach to government. And I do have concerns about RFK's climate change views. But I want him on the show, and I want to give him a forum. I'm not going to argue with him. I want him to come and tell us what he thinks. I think he's a brilliant individual, well-studied. He doesn't just throw stuff out that he hadn't thought about and studied, and meticulously so. So I would love to see him getting even more traction. I don't know if the media will let him, but he's a very intelligent man, and I think a man of genuine conviction. So all of that is to say I like him, but I don't like him over Donald Trump. Now, by the way, Ben, if you need the bass player, $100 a gig is $100 more per gig than I normally get, so I'm in. The money is fine. I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. We are almost, not quite, but we're almost at 1 million subscribers. And I don't know, this may surprise you, but 70% of you watching right now have never hit the subscribe button. I'll do it like Joe Biden. Never hit the subscribe button. If you did, we could be at 1 million within days. So hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that we can get there. Okay.
All right. Here's one from Jay Luther. Do you think that Kevin McCarthy will keep his promise to pass legislation banning Congress from trading stocks?
I think he will try. It'll be hard to get that through. There will be some Republicans that'll be uncomfortable with that. But boy, this is a real reform. This really should be something, it should have happened decades ago, but it's more than time for it to happen now where members of Congress cannot trade stock. You say, well, that's not fair. No, you run for Congress, you ask for the job, there ought to be some restrictions. And one of them is because you are privy to inside information about which businesses may be under investigation, which ones may have financial trouble. Watch when Congress members go and they unload stock that's about to crash, or they go buy stock that's about to explode. That's insider trading. My gosh, Martha Stewart went to prison for less than that. And these guys get reelected for it. So I hope that happens.
Zelda May is asking this question, is the Biden family's corruption considered treason?
Well, that's a big question. I don't think it's treason per se, because treason means that you are acting on behalf of a foreign government. I think what the Biden family, they're acting on behalf of the Biden family. I mean, it's all about enriching themselves. Now, in order to do that, they're selling off influence to the Chinese. I think they may be even agreeing, or maybe not openly agreeing, but they're certainly looking the other way when China's doing things. But I don't think they're giving the nuclear codes or selling secrets per se. I think they're just selling influence that is lucrative to the Chinese and extremely lucrative to the Bidens.
A comment that you can respond to from Kathy Siebers. Let's see Brandon go on CNN and get the same questions and treatment.
Yeah.
He'd be in tears.
Yeah, he would just crumble off the stage. Well, first of all, if Joe Biden did a town hall like that with CNN, the host would never spend the entire time talking over him and challenging him on everything he says. That's what Caitlin Collins did. I thought it was a terrible performance on her part. And even if I thought what she was saying had merit, there's a certain level of respect that you give to the person who is your guest. Yes. And particularly when that person is a candidate for president and has been a president. She's a 30-year-old ambitious reporter who, by the way, did you know that she used to be conservative?
I'm sorry.
She's only had 2 jobs in her life. One was the Daily Caller. She was one of their early reporters in her 20s, and that's a very conservative website.
Wow.
And she was, if you go back and even watch some of the things that she would say when she was with the Daily Caller, very conservative stuff. Then she went over to CNN and flipped and became a flaming leftist, as she is now. My daughter, who knew her because Caitlin was at the White House, and Sarah was press secretary, said she could be very difficult to deal with because of she's very ambitious.
Wow.
It's all about her. Hey, Mike Huckabee here. Listen, if you love your mom, apple pie, and being conservative, you ought to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and click the like button, and show all the leftists out there that conservatives are thriving and patriotism is far from dead. Am I pandering too much? No way. I'm just getting started.